Hey, favorite popcorn sellers. So the moment has come. It is time to talk about the number one most dreaded method of popcorn sales, also known as neighborhood or wagon sales. Look, I was totally where you were at 2 years ago. The thought of dragging a wagon around the neighborhood, my whining scout around the neighborhood, while knocking on doors of people I don't know, like I'm a Comcast salesman, while I'm interrupting their dinner or waking their baby up, was like a total hard no for me. But I had a responsibility to our pack to figure out some new methods of selling, and I had to try it out. So naturally, I sucked it up. I loaded up the wagon. I got my scout in his uniform, gave him a speech, and did what any good mom would do and sent him on his way out the door with his dad. And then I sat at home and I waited. I waited for them to come back, annoyed about this whole thing, a wagon full of popcorn. Just waited for a few minutes. In my head was thinking, they're never going to want to do this again. What did I just do? I know they're going to come home so mad at me. And I waited. And then they came home and they needed more popcorn. They had these huge smiles on their faces and they were so excited and motivated. And I will never forget how that first neighborhood sale went for us. And I can tell you within that first sale, within like an hour and a half, my scout sold $250 worth of popcorn. It was amazing. He came home, he reloaded twice. He wanted to go out the next day. He wanted to go out the next weekend. He was so motivated to sell popcorn on his own that he set his own schedule. So here's the thing about neighborhood sales. While it may seem super intimidating and embarrassing, and get it, I totally get it because I was 100% there with it when we first started doing this. There are so many benefits to neighborhood sales. The biggest pro to this whole thing and the key to this whole situation is that when you are going up to people's doors and knocking on their doors, you have a captive audience when they open that door. There are I don't think it has ever happened to us once. I think it is very unlikely that any person would ever shut the door in the face of a child without saying anything. I think that there might be a couple of instances where people choose not to answer their doors. But in reality, if that person is walking to their door and opening their door, they're going to listen to you. So these people are not coming to the door actually to talk to you. They're coming to the door to talk to your scout, because ideally your scout is going to be the one standing at the door and ringing their doorbell. The absolute best tactic for these sales is to encourage your scout to hit the door alone. Now, I know that may not happen at first. You may need to go to a few doors to kind of like get the tactics down, get the speech down, help your scout feel comfortable doing this. But I guarantee that once you can get them to that door by themselves, they're going to do better with their selling. Obviously, we want to do this in a safe way. You're not going to be sitting in your car in the street, sending your kid door to door and following them around. You're going to be there. Just don't be at the doorbell. Be a few feet behind them, down the step, on this, on the driveway sidewalk or whatever it may be. You want to be there to support them, but you don't want to be there to do this for them. Here's why. They are way, way cuter than you are. And if you are standing next to them at a doorbell, that person opening the door is at your eye level, not your scout's eye level, your eye level. So they are naturally going to look into your eyes, and it's going to be a lot easier for them to immediately say, I'm not interested. When you're standing back on the sidewalk and can give your scout a little bit of space to ring that doorbell on their own, this person's going to come and open the door, look down to see who's actually at their door, not standing back on the sidewalk. They're going to make eye contact with your scout, and your scout is going to be able to engage them in this conversation. It goes way better that way. it's going to be a lot harder for that person to say no to your scout without, at the very least, just listening to what they have to say and what they're doing. This is where you train your scout. We are not selling popcorn. We are selling scouting. Go back to that speech that I talked about in the storefront video and talk about, hi, my name's Cheryl. I live in your neighborhood and I'm a Cub Scout and I am really working hard to try to fund my scouting year this year. I have a goal of making it to summer camp next year. Would you be interested in hearing how you can help me with that? Chances are that person's going to say sure, and at the very least hear them out. And that's where you can go ahead and, support your scout, start talking to them about the products, the prices, help them make the sale, collect the money, whatever you need to do. You're obviously not sending your scout to the door with the phone and having them take a credit card number. I mean, I don't think that person typically would want to hand a credit card over to your kid. So support them for sure, but let them be responsible for making the sale. It's easier on the parents, but it's also so beneficial for these scouts to be able to be empowered to talk to these adults and feel like, hey, I did that. It's going to make them want to do more. So another great benefit to these door-to-door sales is that the sales return is pretty high. There's way less no's to contend with compared to like a storefront sale. You get to choose where and when to do it. After dinner and on weekends and during football games are like the best time to do these. You can go out for 15 minutes, an hour, however long you want to do it for. During football games on the weekends, people are looking for snacks. It's a great time to get those men to the door to get them to buy the popcorn. With a higher sales volume in this shorter amount of time, your scout is definitely going to feel more enthusiastic about what they're doing. So I know that there's a huge stigma about these wagon sales, but they really are pretty amazing. So if you can muster up the courage to get out there and do it, and get your scout to muster up the courage and get out there and do it, I can almost guarantee that the return is going to be great and you are going to buy into this. So kind of one of the unspoken benefits to selling at doors is that unlike the storefront, it can be done at your own pace. If you need a potty break or a snack break, take it. If your kid needs a few minutes in between doors to regroup and have a moment of a meltdown, take it. There's no highs and lows to door-to-door sales as far as customer volume goes because you determine it. You don't have to have this period of like, hi, crazy, here's the sale. You were just screaming out, would you like to buy popcorn? People are coming, going. There's no lulls where you have to wait. You get to determine that timeline of when you are walking up and knocking on that door. And again, you get to choose how long you sell for, when and where you do it. Excuse me. So I think that in general, the stigma is that this wagon sale door-to-door feels like a high-pressure sales situation. And the first couple of times, it can be intimidating and it can feel high pressure. But once you do a few practice rounds and your scout gets used to it, it's probably the least amount of pressure, and that benefit is so great for them. So if you need some stock to get your wagon sales started, I would encourage you to please have like a timeline in line of when you're planning to do your wagon sales. We do have kind of a limited amount of stock this year, only because we ordered pretty conservatively. We can get more every week, but what we don't want to happen is to have scouts sitting on like 3 cases of popcorn and not selling for 3 weeks. If you're taking the popcorn, do it with the intent that you're going to sell within a few days and return it or exchange it. I mean, we're always here to make those exchanges and returns with the popcorn. But let's be all considerate of each other to make sure that everybody gets a chance to do the wagon sales. We do have a wagon. You're definitely welcome to borrow. I mean, it doesn't necessarily even have to be in a wagon. That's just kind of the method we use. You could put it in a box like I mentioned last night and have your scout kind of carry one of each product to the door. So think about the best ways that you guys can sell for your family. Let me know if you need anything, need more tips, need more encouragement, but I have confidence that this is going to be a great popcorn year. Happy selling!